UFC Fight Night London has just been announced, and this right here is the perfect 5-fight main card. Now, with this being a fight night, that means there will be no Tom Aspinall versus Ciryl Gane 2 for the heavyweight title. There will be no Paddy Pimblett on the card either. He's fighting for the interim lightweight title at UFC 324, and win, lose or draw, Paddy Pimblett will not make that quick turnaround. So starting off with the main card opener, an absolute car crash of a main card opener. Paddy Pimblett's teammate Luke Riley taking on Nate the Train Landwehr. This right here, fight of the night written all over it. Absolute war. Luke Riley obviously made his UFC debut at Fight Night Qatar against Bogdan Grad. Highlight reel KO. Very fun fight style. Nate the Train always in fun fights. Stylistically, these guys will gel really well. You'll get a fun fight out of it while it lasts, and you'll also get another highlight reel stoppage for Luke Riley, who already has a big following, but has the potential to be one of the next big things in the UFC, one of their next big stars. This right here is the perfect matchup to make for Luke Riley next. Moving on up the card, heavyweight matchup, Mick Parkin versus Rizvan Kuniev. Mick Parkin obviously fought on the last UFC Fight Night London card. Tom Aspinall's teammate did lose to Tybura. Very, very close matchup though. Then you've got Rizvan Kuniev, made his UFC debut this year at UFC Fight Night Azerbaijan. Did lose to former title challenger Curtis Blaydes. Very close matchup though. A lot of people thought Rizvan Kuniev won this fight. It's always good to have a heavyweight matchup on the card. Makes a lot of sense. It's in London. Mick Parkin's from the UK. Doesn't take a genius to work that one out. Both guys are coming off losses. Both guys are arguably one win away from getting back into the top 15 of the UFC's heavyweight division. I like this matchup. Unfortunately for Mick Parkin, I think he could be 0-2 going on the UFC Fight Night London cards in recent times anyway, because I think Rizvan Kuniev is definitely a tough matchup for him, but always good to have a heavyweight on the card, and he's from the UK. Perfect. Moving on, feature fight. Nathaniel Wood taking on Patricio Pitbull. Nathaniel Wood is coming off that controversial win to Jose Delgado. Let's not pretend, let's not sit here and lie to one another that he rightfully won that fight. In my opinion, Jose Delgado did win the fight, but nonetheless, now's the time with that win to push Nathaniel Wood into the featherweight rankings. He's done a lot of good work in the featherweight division. He's not getting any younger. Now's the time to push him on. Now, Patricio Pitbull, legend of the MMA game. Obviously done all his best work in Bellator, 2-division world champion. Beat Michael Chandler, shit like that. Now, since coming to the UFC, he is 1-1. Lost to Yair Rodriguez, former interim title challenger. Actually, former interim belt winner and the first ever LGBTQ UFC champion. There's that there for Yair Rodriguez. Then he beat Dan Ige. Dan Ige ranked inside of the top 15. Has been a mainstay in the top 15 since the dawn of time. Since the creation of light, Dan Ige has been inside of the top 15 featherweight rankings. Patricio Pitbull beat him. Now, I do have a slight worry for this matchup that it could be dog shit. It could be boring, because Nathaniel Wood doesn't have that real finishing ability. He is tough and durable. Pitbull isn't the same fighter anymore. Obviously, the guy is about 1,000 years old at this point. Isn't letting the shots go really. Very inactive. Can still hit hard. I think he could definitely hurt Nathaniel Wood, who gets hurt in most of his matchups anyway. But I think Nathaniel Wood would take this fight. Could be slightly boring, but I think the co-main event, in fact, I know the co-main event would save it if this fight is an absolute stinker. Moving on to the co-main event. We've got MVP taking on Robert Whittaker. Banger of a matchup. MVP on a bit of a win streak right now in the middleweight division. Beat Shara Bullet, first guy to beat him. Then he beat Cannonier. Got himself ranked inside of the top 10. In fact, he got joint ranked number 10 with Cannonier. Doesn't make a lot of sense. A lot of the UFC's rankings don't make any sense. Whittaker, former middleweight champion, on a 2-fight losing streak, lost to Hamzat, lost to RDR, is ranked number 9 now in the division. Both guys are very well known, and I think you need to have MVP on this card. He's a big name in UK MMA, and the real big names, Paddy's not going to be on the card, I've already said that. Aspinall won't be on the card either. Leon Edwards, don't put this guy on this card. I haven't forgiven him for UFC Fight Night London last year. I spent 600 Great British pounds to go to that event, and that guy showed up, done nothing, got subbed by Sean Brady. Don't have that guy on this card ever again. Also, he just got flatlined by Carlos Prates. He's not going to make that quick turnaround. So let's get MVP on the card. This could be a really fun fight because MVP, obviously, very flashy striking style. One of the best strikers on the UFC's roster, in my opinion. In terms of just a striking matchup, I think a lot of people would struggle with MVP. Very unorthodox, obviously. He's got the KSI star, jumps down to a T. Robert Whittaker, on a losing streak. People say he's on a decline. Isn't as tough, isn't as durable. His chin isn't there anymore. And if that is the case, MVP will knock him out. Highlight reel knockout if that is the case. Whittaker, underrated ground game though. MVP, that is a big hole still in his game. I think Whittaker could capitalise on that. Robert Whittaker, very well rounded. I still think he's got a lot left to give. A lot of people don't. I would probably pick Whittaker to win this matchup. I think he would utilise his grappling to beat MVP. But we've seen him hit, we've seen him hurt. He doesn't take the damage as well anymore, Robert Whittaker. He's quite literally in the fight before had his face broken by Khamzat Chimaev. So MVP could maybe hit him with a flying knee and hit him with that Pokeball celebration. A bit of Pokemon there. Who knows? But perfect co-main event. And finally, main event. We have got Lerone Murphy. This guy is the featherweight Leon Edwards. He will be who the UFC will put in the main event of this card. It was either going to be him or him versus Movsar Evloev instead of him versus Aljamain Sterling. But with Movsar Evloev being undefeated and Lerone Murphy being undefeated, that's a big thing. So if you could somehow get those guys that meet for the belt, undefeated versus undefeated, it sells a lot more. Aljamain Sterling, though, just recently called out Lerone Murphy, said, "What are you doing, mate?" So it makes me think that he's maybe using the UK terminology. Maybe he's hinting at UFC London. I think this is the fight they're going to do. It's a bigger fight than Lerone versus Movsar at the minute anyway, especially if a belt's not on the line. Aljamain Sterling, second best bantamweight of all time, former bantamweight champion, former pound for pound fighter as well. Unfortunately, though, for Lerone Murphy, I do think Aljamain Sterling will beat him. Lerone Murphy, I think he's good everywhere, but not great anywhere, if that makes sense. He's very well rounded. Aljamain Sterling obviously has below average striking, but has very good grappling, and I think he could out grapple Lerone Murphy. Plus, Aljamain Sterling, I know he fought at bantamweight, but the guy's absolutely massive. Pause for the featherweight division. Look, he nearly hit Calvin Kattar with a Batista ball at UFC 300. Look at what he was able to do against Brian Ortega as well in parts of the grappling. Obviously, he showed off his striking in that matchup. Aljo does have good lateral movement, and he throws a lot of volume, but he does tire out, and this would be a 5-round fight. But I do think Aljo's grappling will be enough to get him over the line in this matchup against Lerone Murphy. I definitely think this will be the main event, but you can let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this card? What fights do you want to see on UFC Fight Night London? And as always, like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff, and I'll see you all again in the next one.